Hello everyone, I'm Emre. I wish I could deliver this talk in person. This is a pre-recorded presentation, but we are watching it with you online and we will be happy to answer any questions you may have at the end of the talk. In brief, I'm a carnivore ecologist and a conservationist interested in tackling the problems that arise between people and species, and they are species such as wolves, bears, and leopards. My co-author Şeyda is an aquatic toxicologist. We are both interested in human-wolf relationship throughout the human history, and today we will be presenting a work-in-progress study, and our main argument is the dominant view of the human-wolf relationship in scientific literature is oversimplified and that the reality is far more complex. On 1st April in 2013, I was, unfortunately Şeyda wasn't there, in Langtang Himalayas located by the Nepal-China border for Oxford University's Leopards of the Himalayas research project. This was the first large-scale systematic camera trapping survey conducted in the Nepalese Himalayas. And this is a view of the study site, and it's an actual photograph taken from the International Space Station. Himalayas, as you may know, is one of the most challenging environments on Earth, particularly for field research. The study was conducted between 2,000 4,000 meters above sea level, and we conducted the study in winter. And this is a view from the study area. The mountain peak you see in the photograph is 7,200 meters above sea level. On that day, I and my teammates visited a family living in a tent and started talking about carnivores and their interaction with people. I was joining the conversation with the help of my translator, who was translating between English and Nepalese. My translator and local people were using the word janavar frequently. And this is a photograph of that moment actually. This is the actual tent, actual family. And when I heard the word Janawar, I thought it must be just the similarity of the sound of a word I know, but I couldn't resist and ask to my translator, who was also a part of my 12-man field team. I asked him, what does the word Janawar mean? I couldn't actually believe when my translator replied. He explained that the word means beast and that the locals use it to refer to animals such as wolves and leopards. I asked him to write the word on my notepad in Latin letters, of course, and this was, in fact, the very same word that the Turkish people were using some 5,000 kilometers away from this location. So Himalayan people and Turkish people were using the same word canavar, which means beast in English, to refer to large predators such as wolves. At first, the word beast doesn't sound like a positive term, doesn't it? It reflects a negative perception of the animal in question. However, in Western culture, people's perception of wolves has been much more negative, and in fact, wolves have been historically considered as evil creatures. According to research in the Western world, as humans started to see themselves as the master of nature, people believed they had the right to destroy whatever didn't serve them. Wolves became a symbol of threat to the Roman Catholic Church and certainly finally became the evil species in the medieval minds. In medieval minds, supernatural powers were attributed to lone wolves, and werewolves were believed to be the hell possessed, devil driven, and equipped with the power of Satan. Medieval minds also believed that evil power could turn innocent people into wolves, which were then called werewolves. In brief, the wolf was perceived as an evil intentioned animal. Efforts to exterminate wolves from various parts of Europe lasted for more than 1,000 years. All possible methods were used to exterminate wolves. They were tracked on foot and by horses, hunted and killed by guns, traps, pitfalls, poisons, set guns, snares, spears, and steel traps, anything you can imagine. These extermination efforts sometimes went to extremes, such as burning of Caledonian pine forest. Can you imagine the whole forest in Scotland to aid wolf eradication? Later, European colonists took their myths, folklore, and fears to America. The same conflicts over issues such as livestock depredation, threats to game species, etc., occurred in the New World, and it wasn't long before the colonists initiated campaigns to exterminate wolves. Here's a brief history of war with wolves in the US. First organized large-scale extermination efforts started in 1600s. Even when Yellowstone National Park was established, wolves and other predators were seen as species that should be exterminated. In an American researcher's words, the war with wolves in US was the longest, most relentless, and most ruthless persecution one species has waged against another in history. In the US today, the wolf is under a mosaic of management regimes of federal, state, and tribal authorities. In the West, we mean in the US and Western Europe, it has taken centuries for historically negative attitudes towards wolves to change. Today, wolves are making a comeback in many countries. This is the current distribution of wolves in the world, but of course, this doesn't mean wolves are found everywhere within the areas shown in yellow in this slide. This shows the outer boundaries of wolf population across. So this is like a caricature of the actual wolf distribution. In the Western world, the perceived threat from wolves exceeded the real threat, largely because the wolf had uh, become demonized and was regarded as an evil animal. This led to large-scale extirpations across the wolf range. This map, once more, I remind, shows the current global wolf distribution. Paradoxically, as wolves have been exterminated in many parts of their historical distribution range, they have become an important symbol of nature conservation in North America and Europe. However, the human wolf conflict, whether perceived or real, still threatens the future of wolves in North America and Europe. The wolf still carries its folklore burden of being an evil animal, and this heritage hinders management and conservation efforts in the Western world today. Unlike the case with North America and Europe, historical information about human wolf interactions in Central Asia, which is home to one third of the world's wolf population, is very limited. It's general belief that our perception of wolves is largely based on the experiences of prehistoric human societies' relationships with the environment, and that the communities that were vulnerable to wolf degradation grew to hate wolves. However, we must note this is an oversimplification. Human wolf interactions in Central Asia are complex. The scientific populations that are available in English are mostly about wolves in North America and Europe. For example, the relationship between Turkic speaking people and the wolf is unique. The wolf is probably the most important animal in ancient Turkish mythology and probably the most respected animal of the Turkic speaking peoples in Central Asia and the Caucasus. Evidence of the wolf's uniqueness in Turkish culture is threefold. First, we have various legends of a clan ancestor being born from a wolf or nourished by a wolf, such as the Ergen epic. Second, legends and other evidence of respect shown to wolves is evident in folklore, such as the Book of Dede Korkut. And third, the desire by people to imitate wolves, such as the Orhon Yenisei transcriptions found in Mongolia. The Book of Dede Korkut, which is the epic stories of Oghuz Turks, and it was transcribed in the 13th century, is a remarkable book. And interestingly, there are only two original copies. One is found in Vatican and the other one is in Germany. And this book sheds a light on people's perception of wolves in those times. One indication of the enduring significance of wolves in Turkish culture today is the motifs found in claims and rugs across Turkey. In her 2002 book Mine Erbek, documents 215 motifs symbolizing wolves in climbs and rugs collected throughout Turkey. She writes, the wolf is a symbol of optimism and protection because it can see in the dark. The wolf symbolizes light and the sun. Necati Demir, the author of the book that you see on the right in this slide, has gathered over 2,500 Turkish tales over 30 years, and he notes in his 2018 book that wolves in Turkish fairy tales represent mostly purity, compassion, and intelligence. And another unique example, this time from Kyrgyzstan, a study in 1976 by the linguists uh, Verskagin and Kostomaro showed that when the fable of the wolf and the lamb was dramatized in Russian and Kyrgyz schools, none of the Russian children wanted to play the wolf, whereas almost all of the Kyrgyz children wanted to play the wolf. The word wolf triggered different associations in Russian and Kyrgyz children. The Wolf and the Lamb fable is about a wolf eating an innocent lamb, and I think most of us have heard that story. And this study was done in 1976, sorry, indicates that the word wolf triggered different associations in Russian and Kyrgyz children. Almost none of the Russian children wanted to play the wolf, indicating playing wolf is contradicting their fundamental beliefs and values. In an article I co-authored on neuroscience of conservation conflicts, which I have in this slide, we discussed that the fundamental beliefs and values are practically sacred in nature. So why this is important for us? The lamp and the wolf story probably challenges the sacred values of the listeners. When sacred values are challenged, the activity in the amygdala, which is the part of the brain involved in processing fear and anger, increases. Therefore, we say that the person is experiencing negative emotions. Understanding how the human brain represents and processes morality and sacred values and responds to conflicts such as human-wolf conflicts is vital. The reason is because such understanding could shed a powerful light on how conservation tactics should be. Hundreds of years after the epic book of Dede Korkut, which states that the face of the wolf is blessed, in 1924, mammalogists in the US think that predator mammals such as wolves have no place in their advanced civilization. I think we can safely conclude that Dede Korkut and those mammalogists had quite different beliefs and value systems, so in other words, their brains and minds fired differently. But the million dollar question is, their minds fire differently, but does it mean they are wired differently? This is a question that neuroscience may answer one day. Ancient positive beliefs and attitudes towards wolves have not faded today. A current day research showed that villagers in Kyrgyzstan still oppose the eradication of wolves, despite the fact that human wolf conflict has increased in the post Soviet era. Similarly, in Turkey, people's belief systems still include traces of animal cults, and the mythological character of the wolf still continues. Wolf creates problems for rural communities, but people are generally opposed to wolf hunts, and wolf hunting requires a special legislative process in Turkey. The wolf, although generally referred to as beast by rural people, has never been considered an evil species in Turkic people's culture and in Central Asia. This is likely a major contributing factor to the survival of large wolf populations in Central Asia, which is, as we mentioned earlier, home to one third of the wolf's population, world's wolf population. Lastly, we want to mention a study done on neurosurgical patients, and the study was published in Nature Neuroscience Journal in 2011. This study is unique and very interesting, and it reveals that specific neurons in the amygdala, the brain region tied to emotions, are dedicated to processing animal images. This suggests that animals hold a unique significance in human cognition. Wolves likely occupy a prominent place in our brains. perhaps more than many other species, considering the human wolf interactions throughout human evolution. In conclusion, since wolves have been suggested as models for understanding early humans, a better understanding of human-wolf interaction in Central Asia may enable us to better understand the minds of our ancestors and through them ourselves. We may create a better future if we better understand the past.